Hello, everybody, and thank you for connecting. The question that we have today is about children. Many of us have kids, many of us have little kids. So, how do we help our children deal with what's going on with the situation? How do we help them understand? How do we talk to our kids?
Hi, parents. My name is Lisa Dion, and I am a parent. I'm also a psychotherapist and a registered play therapy supervisor, and I wanted to offer a little bit of support. Being a mom, as I just shared, there's so much happening right now with the coronavirus that, as we know, is producing a lot of fears and anxieties. And as schools are closing, we're seeing it reflected in our children. And I know that our children are talking about it and they have a lot of different questions. And there's a lot out there right now about just the practical ways that we can be supportive and the things that we need to be doing to keep ourselves and our children safe, like the hand washing and even isolating ourselves and that kind of a thing. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about what do we do in terms of helping them on an emotional level, because there is just so much fear and anxiety, which is totally normal right now. The brain right now is absolutely detecting a threat with all the information and all the dialogue that's going on, and there's the feeling in the air, and so we're, people are responding accordingly based on how scary it's registering for them or not. So I wanted just to support you. I wanted to offer a little bit of help in all of this. And so I want to talk about two things that are really important. And the first one may seem intuitive, maybe even a little counterintuitive, but it just has to do with honesty. And what I mean by that is that sometimes when our children start to feel fearful or they start to feel afraid of something, our instinct as a parent is to try to make it better, try to make it okay. And so maybe we say things like, "Oh, you're safe," or "You've got nothing to worry about," or maybe we're trying really hard to not show that we're actually afraid. And parents, what I want you to know is that even though we are coming from such a caring place when we do this, it actually lands for the child as actually a deeper source of discomfort. The brain actually looks for what I call incongruence in the environment. And when we're giving our child messages that sound something like, you're safe, well, we don't actually know that for sure. We don't actually know if our child is going to get the coronavirus. We don't know if we're going to get the coronavirus. And so sometimes our attempt to soothe the child actually results in false promises. And the child deep down actually knows this. So instead of saying things like, "Oh, we're safe, we're okay, everything's fine, there's nothing to be afraid of," which inside the child's going, "Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Aren't you aware?" It's really important that we stay honest. Now, honest can look so many different ways. So let me help you out here. Just acknowledging, yes, yes, this is scary. Yes, there's so much information out there, and there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. It makes so much sense why you're feeling nervous and why you're feeling afraid. Mommy's or daddy is feeling nervous too. I'm finding myself thinking about it. I'm finding myself wondering, what to do or how to respond. And what you're really doing here is you're just normalizing. The child, ultimately, here's an interesting thing, parents. Ultimately, the child is borrowing our nervous system. They're borrowing our capacity to regulate. And in order to do that, we need to be honest about our own internal experience. And then also show the child, how do we work with that? There's a difference between panicking, oh my gosh, this is, and then the child doesn't know how to orient to us, and they don't have a nervous system to grab hold of. And that can induce even more panic and fear in the child. But being able to respond honestly instead of react. Respond honestly, owning and naming your own fear and anxiety around this, and then maybe saying, you know what, and that's why I'm taking some deeper breaths, or that's why, I am, spending time thinking about things that we can do together. Being honest about just the impact that this is having. I just can't stress enough how important that is. And to find a way to talk about it honestly in a way that your child can hear and that's appropriate for their age. It's just really, really key, while honoring and validating their own experience, rather than just trying to make it all better. The next thing is that also the brain, whenever we encounter the unknown, the brain kind of goes, and what it does is it in a sense projects scenarios into the unknown, and then we make assumptions about what can happen, which is a lot of what's going on right now. That's creating some of the fear with the coronavirus, which is what our minds naturally do. We think out worst case scenarios, and that's such a protective part of our design. And one of the most helpful things you can do for your child right now is to make the unknown known to the best of your ability. Now, obviously, we don't ultimately know many things about what's happening with the coronavirus, but there are things that we do know. And a lot of it can do with just creating a plan and talking to the child about the plan. So it's like, okay, honey, so when your child is talking about, mommy, I'm afraid, or daddy, I'm afraid, or I'm feeling really nervous, or what about my friend whose grandpa might get sick, or whatever it is, go ahead and proactively come up with a plan. So talk it through. Okay, so let's talk this through, buddy. All right, so if you get sick, here's what we're gonna do, and list it out for the child. Is there anything that you think you'll need, depending on the age of the child? If grandma gets sick, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to support grandma. If your friend's grandpa gets sick, here's what we're going to do. We'll send a card, to your friend. We'll send some food over to help the family out. When we can respond instead of react, it actually creates a bit of regulation in our system. When we feel like we can be helpful in a helpless kind of situation. And one of the most important things we can do is just make plans. Talk to your children about, all right, so if we're home for an extended period of time and school is canceled, here's what we're going to do. Make a list, have conversation, take advantage of the time together as a family, if you're able to. I realize that for some families, this is going to impact things financially. This is going to create a lot of chaos in terms of who can be home with the child. And every step of the way, just talk to your child, and talk to your child from a place of responding instead of reacting. Be honest about it. Be real about it. But recognize that when we panic about it, the child doesn't have the ability to borrow our nervous system, doesn't have the ability to feel a sense of safety because we're spinning, which then their nervous system picks that up, and then they go, gosh, look, mom really doesn't know how to feel safe in this, so gosh, this must be really big. I must not be safe. So parents, be honest. Be honest to your children. Don't give them false promises. Be honest about your own experience, and then do what you can to make the unknown known. Set plans, have a conversation, and take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, and come home within yourself a little bit, so that our children can feel us at a little bit of a deeper level and have something that they can also grab hold of. So deep breaths to all of us parents as we're navigating through this, as all of the things are unfolding, and let's hold our children in the process as we all get through this together. Best wishes to all of you.